Hi, this is Losing Faith, Finding Spirit. And today I'm continuing the discussion on red flags, our little mini series on red flags. And this little clip is about mansplaining, or people who generally just think they know better than you. Mansplaining is a term that comes from the very strange phenomenon where specifically white cis men think that they know everything, and if a woman says it, they have to explain it back to her. I had this happen where my dad was listening to a NPR interview with a woman who was talking in her field of expertise, which happens to be one of my fields of expertise. And she was explaining, how you get started into that career. Well, then a male caller called in and told her, this is how you do it, and here's the tips and tricks on how to do it. Never mind the person who's there, who has been working in that field for a number of years and is the, experienced, person who's on the radio talking about this and has awards and whatever in her field. This person who is like an amateur in this field called in to a man to tell her how to get into that field and to tell advice to the callers, to everybody who's. So then my dad tells me the advice from the guy who called in. He totally tuned out whatever the woman who is the experienced expert in this field, totally tuned her out and just repeats to me verbatim what this male caller, who is a hobbyist, had to say about how to get into this field. So not only was it was like mansplaining inception, double mansplained. So this is a phenomenon that does happen a lot. You can go on the internet. Twitter is a hotbed for this. There are lots of mansplainers on Twitter. Women who are authors of certain franchises have spoken up about books, and then men will comment and tell them they don't know what they're talking about and they don't understand the nuance of the characters. And the woman is like, I'm literally the author of these characters. Excuse me. It's a phenomenon that happens. So this also comes up in these kinds of toxic, narcissistic relationships. It will creep up where if you know something, and it's not just men and women, it is more prevalent. We have that cute little mansplain word for it. But this, I'm sure it happens with any genders, any sex, any relationships. This person tries to undermine, the toxic, abusive person wants to undermine your authority and your confidence. They want to erode your confidence in yourself, because that means you no longer trust yourself. You can't trust, and you have to put all your trust and belief in them. And it makes them feel like they're smarter than you. I remember people telling me that my ex was arrogant, and I didn't understand, because I was like, he's not arrogant. He just has a hard time dealing with people, and he's just awkward and unsociable. That's a lie. That was just the mask he was showing me when he was trying to get me into his good graces, whatever you want to call it, during the love bombing stage. But the truth is that they don't believe you, but if somebody else, like a third person, says it, the exact words that you say, they'll believe them. They'll believe them. That person just said verbatim what you said, but that person is somebody that isn't you, so they will believe them. And that's so frustrating. I've had it happen to me. And it's discouraging. And the whole point of it is just to get you to lose confidence, to give the power back to them, and to make them feel like they're in control. They want to be in complete control of you and your experience and your knowledge and all of it. It doesn't matter. And you will continue to have arguments, the same argument over and over and over, because they won't believe you. And it's frustrating. And if you're somebody who comes from complex trauma in childhood, that need to be believed is very strong, especially if your role within your family system was that you weren't believed and that you weren't given that space. And if this person during the love bombing and intensity stages was that to you, had become that person that you felt you could trust and share your innermost thoughts and feelings, and they would listen and understand you. When this happens, And suddenly they don't believe you anymore. Suddenly you're over explaining yourself. Suddenly you're arguing about the things that you know are facts. It's very discouraging. It's very upsetting. It really does erode your self-confidence. It starts to make you feel like maybe you don't know, maybe you aren't as smart as you thought you were. Like, you start to doubt, you self-doubt, and that gives them the power, because that makes you weaker. It makes you feel less control, and it hands over that power to that person. And that's what they're doing. That's the whole purpose of it. Whether it's intentional or not, that's the purpose behind those actions, is to take the power, and to take your confidence, and to make them feel and be the stronger, more intelligent person. What's frustrating too is sometimes they'll take what you've told them and use it and talk to other people when you're not around and act like they know better. And they sit there and they'll tell other people, as long as it makes them look good and look smart, look whatever, they'll use anything. If you've got an achievement that you achieved all on your own power, they'll say they did it, or that you couldn't have done it without them. Even if it was something that happened before you met them, they will take credit for that when they're talking to other people. It's just the way they are. It's just the way they are. So if that starts to creep up in your life, if you start noticing that when you're talking about something, a fact that you know, that you're confident in, and they start to make you second guess, or they try to argue with you about it, or they say that doesn't make sense, why is that this case? And you find yourself kind of like really struggling to explain yourself with this person, it's not worth it. That's a red flag. Get out. Especially if any of the other things we've discussed, any of the other red flags are showing up, it's time to call it quits on this one. I hope this helps. I hope it helps you identify people and make better choices. And that's best wishes for all of you. Thanks for listening. Bye.